God bless you. I think one of the toughest things from healing from the narcissistic abuse was the reactive abuse, the place where they will push you into reacting a certain way. There would be times when we might have a disagreement or an argument, and for hours there would just be screaming about how I'm less than, how I'm a horrible person, how everything I think is like not smart, and just hours of just a one-way conversation to where they were drilling me to a point of explosion, to a point that I could no longer continue, not even another word, and then I would snap and I would say things that maybe I didn't mean. And in that moment they would always start to record because they needed that information to show people, to prove just how innocent they are. And this is towards the end when they're about to do a discard and they've already got women and men lined up behind the closed doors. At this point there's nothing more you can do. They're just going to continue to try to bait you to collect evidence so they can prove to everybody around them that they are the good ones. They are the ones that are victims to the victim. And I tell you, that was the hardest thing for me to overcome, because there was a point when we were in the car and I was driving, and the one-way screaming started to happen, telling me I'm no good, telling me my son's gay, telling me all kinds of things about my children, about myself. And in that moment, I got so frustrated, I went to tap the hood of his hat. He flipped forward and I accidentally poked his eye, and he sat there and he called the police and started screaming, "You punched me, you punched me." And in that moment I was like, I never touched you like that. And I knew right then that the narcissist had me in a position to where he could really, really hurt me and destroy me. And I immediately started praying to God, please help me out of this. And he proceeded to call the police, and he proceeded to say, I'm going to get you fired, and I'm going to put you in jail. The entire time I'm waiting for the police to come. And I tell you, it was the most traumatic thing that I had to endure. And lies to this day continue about the transaction of that day. And truly it was just from reactive abuse, where you've taken so much abuse for so long that you're now starting to react. Mind you, I don't have a violent bone in my body. I've never even lifted a hand to anybody. But in that moment, that narcissist was able to make me appear to be an abuser, make me appear to be something I'm not. And sure as nothing, as I tapped the bill of his hat, I had noticed he had already started recording at that point. So he was ready and prepared to destroy me in that moment. And many of these things are purposeful. So if you are going through, you're currently still in the narcissist's abusive phase where he's starting to discard you, what I will tell you is, if they start to do the one-way conversation, if they start to do the mental abuse where they're drilling at you, where they're hammering you, and they're starting to speak all kinds of bad things about you, what I would tell you to do is walk away immediately, because trying to argue with them, they're not wanting to hear it. They do not want to hear anything you have to say. They're not reasonable at this point. They're on a mission. They're on an agenda to gather evidence so they can appear to be innocent. And I tell you, all the way up until the separation, these allegations were being filed with courts, domestic violence reports. Even months later, they were now saying, well, I'm going to report this stuff now. And so that reactive abuse, the abuse that I was enduring, that I reacted on by tapping the bill of his hat, he used this for even years later to try to destroy me, and continues to use that reactive abuse. And I tell you, in that moment, because I was outside of myself and I was so hurt. You know, we think about Why did I do that? Like you almost become unforgiving of yourself. You hate yourself for reacting in that manner. And I want to tell you, in order for me to heal, I had to come to a point to realize that this monster was turning me into themselves. This monster was trying to make me become who they were inside, because they're so ugly inside and so broken inside. And because you're so loving and you're so likable and you're so at peace and you have so much joy, they need to disrupt this. And so what they would do is, like, they would hammer me. He would hammer me to a point where I became that ugly version of him, so he could feel better about himself and how ugly he felt every single day waking up. And so I tell you to say that in order for me to get healing in that moment, I had to understand and realize that it wasn't me. It's not me, that I am starting to react and give in to what he is trying to do. And so I had to realize that that wasn't me in those moments, that reaction wasn't me purposefully in bad, ill heart trying to hurt anybody. I was trying to defend myself. Words are like daggers. They start to pierce you. And as you're hearing this from people you truly and authentically love, they might not be doing anything physical to you, but they are stabbing you over and over again with their tongue. And so that in itself is going to make you react. And so I had to understand and know that I was fighting for myself. I was fighting to not be destroyed in that moment. And yeah, maybe it came off with me trying to tap the bill of his hat and an accident happening, but at the end of the day, it was me defending myself from the weapon of the tongue. And so I tell you to say, forgive yourself in those moments, and know that reaction to the abuse, your reactions to the abuse is not you. Forgive yourself, love yourself, and understand and know that it was the narcissist who ended up doing that. And so I love you guys. I pray you're healing right now in Jesus' name. And I pray that your eyes will be open and ears will be open as you hear the tactics and strategies of how they try to lock your mind and heart into receiving the monster that they are. I love you. God bless you.